Let's bring in right now the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Democratic Congressman Gregory Meeks of New York. First of all, let me ask you, Mr. Chairman, are you a Mets fan or a Yankees fan?
I'm a Mets fan.
Okay, so maybe we can divert some of that Mets money to help the Ukrainians out, because as I told Richard Haas with the new signing, the Mets now have a GDP, a payroll that's bigger than the GDP of quite a few small countries. So go Mets! I hope the Mets have a great year this next year. So let me ask you about the speech last night. What were some of your main takeaways from that historic moment?
It was historic. One of my main takeaways was, you could just feel the determination of President Zelensky, and as a result of the Ukrainian people, that they will win this war, and that we are standing together to work together for good. He re-emphasized his thanks to the American people for all of what we've been doing, but that he needs more. That we can't quit in the middle of success. That we can see success at the end. He talked about how sometime next year he believes if we stay together, we will win, and that the spirit of the Ukrainian people, which is something, when I visited Ukraine, both before the invasion and after the invasion, you can't help but feel it. You can't help but see it, and you can't help to understand that the dollars that the American people are giving, as well as our allies, is tremendously important and is what's making this war winnable. He was just inspirational, and I think that the number of standing ovations that he received is a reflection thereof. I hope it becomes a reflection of what my Republican colleagues will do when the vote for the $48 billion come up and continued support for Ukraine is asked for.
So, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Mr. Chairman, your ranking member, Michael McCaul, I believe he's been a steadfast champion of aid to Ukraine. Is he going to be the next chairman of the committee? And if so, are you two going to be able to keep working together to guarantee support out of your committee for funding in Ukraine?
Well, I know that Mike McCaul and I will continue to work together. I do have concerns, though, about other Republican members. We just had a markup in our committee, along with the other 50 other hearings and briefings that we've had about Ukraine and about oversight of Ukraine and making sure that the dollars are being spent. And Marjorie Taylor Greene had a request of inquiries, of which she clearly says that she wants to end the support to Ukraine. And just about every member on that committee agreed with her. No one challenged her. Now, Mike tried to the degree, saying that we've got to give Ukrainians, as he has to his credit, everything that they need. But the Republicans seem to be talking out of two sides of their mouth. In the beginning, we've got to give them everything they need. And they were criticizing the Biden administration, saying that they were not giving it to them when we were making sure that we were doing our oversight responsibility. In fact, it's been unprecedented, the oversight that we've done on this committee. And now saying that, wait a minute, we can't give them this money, as President Zelensky addressed, saying that this is not a blank check that we have been giving to them. It is an investment in democracy. It's an investment in the stabilization of Europe and all democratic countries around the world. So I have concerns. I know that Mike McCaul and I will be able to work together, but I do have concerns about other members of the Republican Party following Marjorie Taylor Greene and what her intent, clearly saying that she thinks the funding to the Ukrainians should stop.
Chairman, there had been some speculation that President Zelensky would lay out some kind of a roadmap towards a negotiated settlement when he was speaking to Congress last night. He didn't do that. What would you like to hear from the Ukrainian government on what they're on when they would be prepared to negotiate something? And specifically, what do you think the status of Crimea will end up being in those negotiations?
Look, what I'd like to hear is, and like to see, is Putin to stop bombing their infrastructure. to stop destroying their water systems, to stop destroying their electricity. We see millions of Ukrainians suffering every day. How can you yield to that and just say we're going to give up in the midst of that kind of barrage? So I think that what President Zelensky is looking for, and this is why it's important for us to continue funding Ukraine, is to push back on Putin so that he can stop this war crimes that he's committing on the Ukrainian people. That's where the discussion should be. We shouldn't be putting pressure and looking at Zelensky. He didn't do anything. It's the unprecedented, illegal war that was instituted and being propagated by Vladimir Putin. And so until that changes, I don't see how President Zelensky can say, oh, we're just going to give up and let them to continue to do what they have done, the damage and the loss of lives and the war crimes committed by Mr. Putin.
Chairman, let's dig in a little bit to what you said about Republicans and support for Ukraine. Republican voters are very divided on if they think that, you know, they've bought into Putin's propaganda and they believe that this is all a big hoax, or there are more traditional Republicans who see this as Putin's aggression that needs to be countered for international security. Within the Republican caucus, what is your sense? Are more members with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or are there still the traditional Republican votes there?
Well, I'm concerned about the traditional Republican votes being or yielding to the extremists on the Republican side, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I saw it in the last markup that we had on our committee, where it seems to me that overwhelmingly the voices of those that were supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene is what we heard, and not the moderates. You know, I heard, you know, my friend Mike McCall came out and said we have to give Ukrainians what they need, but I didn't hear a lot of the other Republicans on that. And you can see the struggles that McCarthy is having right now in trying to get the votes so that he could be speaker, which I don't know whether that will happen or not. But if he's listening to them and will give in to them and make commitments to them, then I think that those moderate Republicans are in jeopardy. So it's worrisome to me in moving forward in the 118th Congress.
Much to be resolved coming up for Republicans as they move into the 118th Congress and even try to figure out who's going to be running their party in the House. Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Democrat Gregory Meeks, thank you so much for being with us. Greatly appreciate it.